So I'm going to give you the easy way to do this. When I say easy, what I mean is it's not going to take you 36 years. You will actually be able to emulate this stuff in 30 days or even less. It's going to be a massive shortcut for you, and it really consists of 3 main secrets. I'm going to tell you the first secret if you are ready. And the first secret is, and I know this sounds cliche, but it is to build a winner's mindset. Now, what do I mean by that? What I mean is to be aware, first of all, of the constant inner chatter that we have, which is limiting our ability to push forward and which is actually self-sabotaging. Unfortunately, we're all born with this brain that holds us back. There is science to it. There's a special name for it. We don't need to know that. You can look it up if you want, but effectively our brain is trying to protect us. It's trying to protect us from being eaten by lions and tigers. And now that there are none of those around to eat us, for most of us, what it's actually doing instead is it is drawing us back, keeping us in our comfort zone and doing everything it possibly can to keep us safe. And so what it says is, don't do that, you're not clever enough. Don't do that, you're too old, you're too young, you haven't got the right education, you haven't got enough money to do that, you're not pretty enough, you're not tall enough, you're not. This is what we tell ourselves the whole time. And it is just so limiting, and it's so easy for me to see it when I speak to people because I'm now aware of it. So that is the very first thing, is number one, be aware of the constant chatter that takes place in your head. And as soon as you do that, you're going to be shocked. We talk to ourselves sometimes in a way that we would never speak to our friends or even strangers in the street. And yet, we look at ourselves and we are constantly, if we're not careful, criticizing ourselves and stopping ourselves from doing something. I'm sure you've been in a meeting before where you've wanted to say something, but for whatever reason, you've been held back and you haven't said it. And then you've thought, I wish I'd said that now because, I did know the answer to that. Or, you've thought to yourself, I really don't look great today. I'm too fat, or I'm this, I'm that, I don't like my dress, or whatever it is. And you then see a photograph of yourself, maybe 6 months later, or maybe a year later, and you think, wow, I looked really nice then. We have a very warped perception of ourselves, and it can be so limiting and so self-sabotaging. And so what I want to let you know here is that, number one, that happens and it stops you doing things for real. But number two, it is so easy to change it, because what you do is you just basically reverse it. And let's just take some of those examples. I'm not clever enough. Well, that's what Google's for. You don't need to know all the answers to everything now. Anything you need to know is actually on Google, whether that is how to start a company or whether it's particularly some detail about the niche that you're in. You can find out anything that you want whenever you want at a click of a button. So worrying about maybe not being clever enough, not having been to the right school. If you think about schools don't teach us how to be successful in our careers, do they? They don't teach us about how to be successful financially. It's not the school's fault because they are driven to teach us academics, and they do that very ably, but they don't teach us how to be successful in our careers. So it doesn't matter if you didn't go to the right school. It doesn't matter if you didn't get a particular set of qualifications. What matters is where you are now and what you're going to do next. If you think about the worries of, I'm too old, well, with the research that there is now, we have never ever been healthier than we are now. 20 years ago, people just weren't healthy, and people now are so much healthier. They're moving so much more. All the research shows that we're going to all live much, much longer than we have before. In fact, I've read research by Peter Diamandis that says the body should be capable of living to 157. So, the odds are that we're all going to live, if we stay fit and healthy, to in excess of 100. So you are not too old. In fact, wherever you are, you've achieved tons and tons of experience if you're midway through your career, and that can all be put to good use, because the more stuff you learn, the better you're going to be when you take the next step. On the reverse of it, I'm too young. I hear people saying that. Well, you're not too young for the same reasons. You've got all of that extra time, all of that energy, all of that drive and that passion to start something. And if you fail, well, okay, move on to the next. Use what you've learned to implement the next time. So again, turn these things on their head. I don't look right, I don't like how I look, I'm too fat, I'm too this, I'm too that. We can change all of that. I'm going to talk to you about body. All of these things are momentary. Nothing is set in stone, and everything is in your control to change it. So if you just start to think about these as I say, I know it's a cliche, but if you start thinking about what you can do and focusing on what you can do, that is the first key step. It is the first secret, I know it doesn't sound mind-blowing, but the important thing is to do it. And it's not easy to do it, but if you remind yourself to do it every hour of every day, you will start to feel more and more positive. And the first thing you have to be positive about is you and your ability to move forward. Very often I hear people say that they believe that success is for other people. They may not voice it, but they do think it. Absolutely wrong. Why is success not for you? Of course it is. You are totally entitled to be as successful as anybody else and more successful. It all boils down to what you want and what you're prepared to do to go and achieve that success. So it's all down to you. Be positive, have that positive mindset and focus on what you want and what you can do.